I think that's probably quite surprising that you would be doing such a significant race. The British National Time Trial Championship. It's a big race on the calendar in terms of British cycling, and to be pushing your body that hard, people are probably thinking, "Oh, okay, is that safe?" I thought, women had to, they couldn't do anything during pregnancy. They couldn't lift anything. They couldn't do anything. What's been your experience and your narrative on pushing your body and training throughout pregnancy?
Well, firstly, I wouldn't really say I raced. I didn't really compete. I would say that I participated. Yeah, for context, the last few years I've been on the podium, and this year I was 16th. I wasn't pushing myself to the same point, because I did have that heart rate cap that I wanted to. I'm not really treating it as 174 beats per minute is safe, 175 beats per minute is disaster. But I don't want to spend too much time above that. That's kind of what all the literature that my coach and myself have been looking at, is to say that above 90% of your max heart rate is when the baby tends to get a little bit less blood flow, which is not really what you want to sustain. So it was a really fun challenge, actually. I think it was really nice to have that goal to motivate myself to kind of take up a big chunk of the pregnancy, because I didn't want to look at it as, right, I've just got a 9-month block now with no racing. I wanted something to break it up, and that got me almost 4 months of the way through, which is really, really nice to have that to focus on, to break it up. And then it was quite nice to be able to look at things in a slightly different way. So I could look at the course and think, right, I've got this limiting factor in my heart rate. So how can I play with this on the course? Where am I going to really go hard? Because there were points I think my heart rate went to about 190, but it was very brief. And then I would let it come back down again.
It's like you have this finite amount that you can spend, and you're like, where am I going to fit this? I'm going to drop a coin here. I'm going to go here.
And it's always the case in time trials. You do have a finite amount of energy to expend anyway, but it was just very literal, right in front of me. And so that was quite fun to play with. I hoped for a better result. From my training data and comparing to previous races last few years, we were hoping that I'd be able to maybe get in a top 10. That was my goal. And then I got 2 minutes in, and I don't know if it's just the excitement, adrenaline of being at a race, but my heart rate was already at its max. I was like, oh.
You're like, oh dear.
I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to get a result today. So it was still really fun, and I'm so glad that I did it. But I would, definitely consider it a participation rather than, I wasn't a threat to the win of the podium or anything like that.
And what about the mental side of pregnancy? We kind of alluded to that there. And obviously you described how actually breaking it up mentally, it was a lot easier than just having this 9 months block. And then, of course, that's when you have the child, you're not exactly going to go back to racing straight afterwards. How has that side been with training and motivation and everything in between?
I actually haven't struggled for motivation at all, really. I think what's been hard has been feeling really ill, really tired, and really wanting to train. But yeah, motivation wise, I think because I had that goal of getting to national as well. And then I've definitely had a nice second trimester hiccup of energy, not feeling so fatigued. I've got way more good days than bad days, which is fantastic. I know that that's not going to last forever. So part of me is like, okay, make the most of this. This is where I'm really need to bank some good training. And I've got some kind of, silly little goals, things that I want to achieve, tick off, like a number of hours that I want to be able to maintain per week, that kind of thing. And that stuff really keeps me motivated. But I think it is knowing that actually I'm at the top of a curve that's only going to go down until it's time to have a baby. And eventually it's going to come back up. But the higher I can keep the curve, the higher the bottom of it, essentially. Like the fitter I can go to my pregnancy, the into childbirth, the easier it'll be on the other side to come back and to feel fit quicker.
Yeah, exactly. It's that, you're not going to be training or you're not going to be racing, at the end of the year. But if you then only have to take 6 weeks off or 8 weeks off or 10 weeks off, rather than having taken several months off, the sooner you can keep going up to it, I guess, mentally as well. like the mental side of it will be a huge thing, as well as obviously physically and what is safe and recommended like post birth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting how a lot of it is actually is for future you, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and there is something quite nice actually about I thought it'd be really boring not having any races to switch things up, but it's actually quite nice to have such a big training block, and to try and kind of see what I can get done in that time. It's yeah, it's kind of, I think I've just managed to kind of switch my thinking a little bit away from racing and onto training for a long amount of time.
And I want to talk to you about each trimester going through it. So if we maybe use your previous pregnancy as an example, because obviously you've completed that, you've done 1, 2, and 3. And can you just talk me through what your training looked like, maybe how it changed through each trimester, and what sort of things you were doing?
It's I would say I've had 2 very, very different pregnancies, and I think a lot of that was very circumstantial. So last time I found out I was pregnant at 8 weeks, and me and my boyfriend weren't yet living together. We were living separately because I was training for the Olympics for Great Britain. He was working for the Olympics for Denmark. We were basically ready to move in as soon as the Olympics were finished, which is also when I found out I was pregnant. So we kind of had to accelerate that process a lot, but it took a lot of time. I think also the mental side of thinking, oh my God, I'm so not prepared for this. Like, what do we do? Took up a lot of energy, and a lot of time to, yeah, learn all the things about having a baby and what are we going to do? We had to move house. There was just a lot of things that needed taken care of that took away from what limited energy I had that I could use on the bike. So I think my
And didn't you do the Olympics while pregnant?
yes, yeah.
Let's not forget that. Just slight point. And did you not get a medal in the Olympics while pregnant?
Yeah, I got a silver medal and then found out I was pregnant later on that day.
Later on that day. Oh my gosh.
It's a big day.
And you're like, oh, okay, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something cool for your kid to tell his friends at school when he's older.
I know, yeah, he's got a cool fact for life that he technically has competed in the Olympics. Yeah.
Yeah.
At age 8-week-old fetus.
Still counts. Still counts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
I felt like it was so broken up and it was very hard to kind of get a real any kind of consistency, really. Whereas now, this time, we're much more settled. We're in our house. We know what a baby needs. We knew that this was going to happen at some point. So we just felt like, okay, that's taken care of. Now I can just focus on training. So I've had a lot more consistency this time. I've been able to fit a lot more training in. And I think actually as a result, I felt better. I think last time it kind of felt like I just went from the first trimester, had a little, maybe 10 days of feeling good, and then was straight into the third trimester and felt big and heavy and tired. Whereas this time I felt like it's been a lot more like, okay, first trimester, tired and sick, second trimester, much more energy. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to keep that going because, yeah, it's just been a lot easier to deal with this time, I would say, even though I've got a toddler to run around after as well.